Breton Live TV again with Pam and Marie, and we're outside of the pavilion where the Premier is speaking inside today about the state of the province. We're outside talking to the people about the state of Cape Breton. And here with me now I have Gord. And Gord, you're with Capers for Healthcare, is that right?
I am with Capers for Healthcare.
Okay, and what do you think about the state of Cape Breton?
State of Cape Breton? The state of the province is what
That's
the Premier's here for, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's must be only speaking about Halifax. He's
I'm
certainly not
sure.
going to be directing his comments
we'll find
towards
out
Cape
later.
Breton. So, no, the state of our community and our healthcare and our equalization and our mental health services and everything else that goes with it is in a deplorable state here.
Infrastructure.
Last time I was here, we were just talking about, was a year and a half ago when the Premier was here announcing the closures
Of the
hospitals.
Yes.
Certainly things have not gotten any better since then.
No.
If anything, things have gotten much worse.
I don't think they broke ground on that yet, did they?
No, just over at the regional hospital on the cancer unit, they've broken some ground. Over on the north side in the Waterford, there's nothing going on.
No.
Some signs went up, but signs don't
delays.
Put doctors in people in care of doctors. So.
Well, yes, there's a lot without a doctor still.
There's way too many without a doctors, and the fact that someone like me, who's a member of the chamber, who just tried to get in there and who was going to buy a ticket 20 minutes ago and come out and talk to a few of you people out here, and then went back to get my ticket, and then they refused me entry because I was connected to these people out here. So I guess I'm with the people who have been assigned as to not be allowed to go inside the building and stuff.
Yes. It was only open to Chamber of Commerce members.
I am a member. I did have an invitation, and I was getting a ticket. And then when I came out to talk to the people outside here, when I went back in, the police had me tagged, and they had my ticket. They told me I was no longer able to buy a ticket.
Well, and I mean, a lot of people were upset by his last visit because of closing the hospital, so rightly so. I believe at the hospital now there's longer wait times, more people without a doctor.
Well, there's still no doctors. Emergency rooms are still closed. Regional hospitals still have people waiting in the hallways. It was nice to see Glace Bay open up some of their inpatient care.
Yeah.
It helped. It didn't alleviate the problem. There's still people in hallways and stuff at the regional.
Yeah.
People are still dying. There's still thousands and thousands of people in Nova Scotia without doctors.
And driving long distances to get to the hospital.
And now people are driving into smaller communities and putting pressure and strains on those smaller hospitals such as Bedeck.
Yeah.
And places like that, straight Richmond.
Yes.
And they're feeling the effects, and it's a ripple effects, if you will.
It is.
Right?
Yes. And there is a real poverty consciousness because it's been going on here so long. Many of us have went away 20, 25 years and in return to find nothing changed. And it really is a problem when there's no industry and we're not receiving our equalization. So it's caused lots of problems. Our infrastructure. We have an unused shipping port. The railway system's gone into a company in Wyoming bought it for $1 million. Like all our resources are, and it's neglect.
Oh, it is 100% neglect.
Yes.
But the problem I see is we got politicians that are in their same positions. I mean, municipal councillors that have been in positions 35, 40 years. Some of their areas that they are in are some of the most impoverished areas in the municipality.
Yes.
Some of our long-standing MPs, two who have just retired.
Yes.
Their communities are some of the most impoverished communities, but yet we continue to elect the same people over and over again, and we keep flipping the coin from heads to tails, and we don't look outside the box.
Right.
And if you keep following the same strategy, you're going to get the same results.
Well, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results, right?
And we're a prime example. I mean, you mentioned about going away. I was one of the fortunate ones who had a job here and I could stay, and I've been working at my job for 35 years.
Yes.
But I've been waiting for the boom for Cape Breton, and it hasn't happened. And
as we all did. When I was in Alberta, I was always waiting for an industry or something so I could come back home. Yeah.
Yep.
And it just gets worse.
And it does just get worse. So
Now, these are not just opinions, hon. These are actual facts, because we get our facts straight. So just know that, Cape Breton, these are all facts, not just personal opinion. I see Father Maroon over there
Father Maroon has arrived.
He has arrived, and I would like to speak with him. Was there anything more you'd like to say, Gord?
No, we're good. Thanks very much, Pam.
Thanks for talking with us.
Have a great day.
Gord, you too. Is Janet ready yet?
I think you should probably give it over to Janet for a few minutes.
All right, when we do that, then we'll let Janet tell us what's going on the inside, and we'll be back.
All right.
Well, good afternoon, Cape Breton. It's Pam and Marie from Cape Breton Live TV Ripple Effects, and we are outside the pavilion in Sydney. We have the Premier of Nova Scotia in here today and talking about the state of the province. And we thought we'd be outside to give the people of Cape Breton a voice, because there's two sides to every story. So first, I'd like to speak with this gentleman here. His name is Paul. Hi, Paul.
How you doing today?
And we'd just like to hear, what do you think about the state of Cape Breton?
It's totally deplorable. I mean, something has to be done. I mean, there's nothing happening. It's like a stagnant island right now. I mean, we're here to basically express our disdain.
Yes.
I'm a veteran myself, applying for 5 different compensation packages right now with the Canadian Forces, with BAC. Can't get a doctor long enough to, I don't want to tie up a Medi-Center, so I'm going to additional hospitals outside the CBRM basically, and they turn you away.
Yes.
So I'm just wanting basically some answers.
Yes.
You know, I want something done. I mean, we have the issue with equalization. I mean, this.
Yes.
I think we could be a self-sufficient island.
We could be.
Basically,
Yep.
with without their help whatsoever.
Well, we're not getting
we
any from them
don't
now.
need them. We don't need them. We don't need them. They need to know that.
That's right.
You know, we're from. Our father was a steel worker, and the steel workers and the miners is what built this island. As far as
Mine as well.
Absolutely.
You know, so I mean, we're here to represent that. My father has passed a few years ago, but the healthcare failed my father as well. So
Yes, and it's failing a lot down
you know,
here. It really
so something has to be done.
It has to be.
I mean, we have child poverty rates. It's just redundant. I mean, I came from out west. I was out there for 15 years. I could walk into a Medi-Center. There's over 250 communities in Edmonton. I could walk into a Medi-Center and get looked at probably within 10-15 minutes.
Exactly.
Here, I wait with a daughter that has severe asthma.
Yeah.
She could wait up to 5, 6, 7 hours in a Medi-Center. It's ridiculous.
It is.
It's totally ridiculous.
I think we've all had a bad medical experience now because of the lack of doctors, and trying to collaborate us all into one hospital in this island is not working.
Yeah.
It's making for longer wait times, and half of them don't have doctors. So yes, there is a big problem with the healthcare.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
As far as equalization goes, for anybody who doesn't know, in 1982, our former Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau, Justin's dad, enshrined the Federal Equalization Fund. That is for municipalities in have-not provinces. It's not for the capital. But every year in this province, Cape Breton is the second largest municipality, and Halifax receives $2 billion in equalization. They send 15 million to Cape Breton, CBRM. We are supposed to be, our fair share for Cape Breton, being the second largest municipality, should be $239 million a year. And because of not receiving that, we have watched the skyline of Halifax grow over the years. So many people are returning home after 25 years away working, and we come back to see nothing has changed. It still looks like the 1960s here, and a lot of us tried to figure out where the problem lies. This is our problem, with no industry in Cape Breton and not receiving that equalization and being kept in the capital. This is why the majority of Cape Bretoners live in poverty. So that's the story behind equalization here. Let's see who else we can speak to then, Marie, before Jan gets online. Anybody else would like to speak to Cape Breton Live TV? Cape Breton Live TV. Right here.
No, don't have me on that.
We'll give it back to Janet for now
Yes,
then.
let's hand it back to Janet right now because she's inside.
I don't want to.
All right. Cape Breton, this is Pam and Marie with Cape Breton Live TV Ripple Effects. The speech at the pavilion with the Premier is over, and I am with Father Albert Maroon, who started NSEF, Nova Scotians for Equalization and Fairness. There was a comment made by Stephen McNeil, our Premier, about equalization. I'm going to play it now for Father Albert Maroon and get his response.
Excellent. When you set the budget for Nova Scotia, how much attention is paid to the ongoing equalization debate here in Cape Breton?
Zero. I can tell you, I'm not wasting my time on it. Equalization comes from Nova Scotia. The funding that comes from the national government isn't divided based on population like some of the federal formulas. We're spending $700 million in 2 healthcare infrastructures and in college. That's not counting the second birth, not counting what we spend at Holy Angels. It's not counting what we spent out at the Bayplex. It's not counting the investments we're making in this region. And many people, when they talk about equalization, is talking about that old formula that municipalities was $30 million that was set aside from NSP in lieu of taxes. Half of it comes to CBRM, 50% of it. So no, I don't. When I think about this, I holistically look at the province, and this is an important part of Nova Scotia. And our capital investments and our infrastructure investments reflect it. It's not on a per capita basis that we invest in education and healthcare in this region. We believe you deserve to have a world-class cancer facility. You're going to get one. I haven't looked at equalization. It's just the right thing for us to do. And that's how we base our decision on what we believe is the right thing for us to do. But I can tell you, this whole debate on equalization isn't moving us forward. Not at all.
Okay, speaking of
Hey, let me pause that for you. So what do you think of
That's
that, Father
very
Robert?
interesting, because when our present premier was not elected before the last convention they had, he said they were going to have an audit of the funds that come in, which is proper. The federal government is giving the funds to help us rise above our poverty level, which is very, very high here, highest in Canada for our youth, and especially high for the Indigenous people. I think he mentioned how good he was to the Indigenous people. Highest poverty level in Canada for the Indigenous people. But
It's
anyway,
here in Cape Breton. At
he said
Escadoni,
that he
yes.
would do an audit, and so they should have done an audit and found out where the money was going, because it certainly wasn't coming here.
That's right.
And the measly little amount that we get, that $15 million, is just a small fraction of the probably a total of $1 billion that should be coming to the CBRM.
Since 1982, yes, because he's not talking about the
No,
almost 40
not since,
years.
but this year.
Yes.
Every year we're talking about. And besides, the 2 ministers of finance, federal and provincial, met and decided that 26.8% of the equalization payment, with $2 billion, should be used for tax reduction and infrastructure amelioration of our community, which we need very badly.
Yes.
Our sewer system, water system, curb and gutter and pavement and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
We're probably the pothole capital of the world.
Yes.
But anyway, he's absolutely lying about this, his commitment to equalization. At first he was totally committed. He told us that, and he was going to do this and do that.
And
so
now
on.
it's zero.
And now it's zero. He said zero.
Yes.
We're not going to discuss it. He says it's taking us backwards. But it was made so that we would have a sort of an equal tax rate and services and so on throughout the province.
That's right. For municipalities to have similar services, similar taxes to the capital, not for the capital.
Exactly.
That's right.
So, but what they're doing is just the opposite.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I really believe that they're keeping us very poor here, so that they can get the federal government allocations of over $2 billion
per year.
Because if we become wealthy, their calculations show us, they're not poor, so they don't need money, and we would have this money now to spend on Halifax and the ferry that doesn't run and all the other things they're doing up there.
That's right.
All well and good, but they're leaving us poor. And Dan Christmas, the senator, said that we are a dying community. This was over 2 years ago he said that.
Yes.
And it's true. We're getting poorer all the time.
Yes.
Now, Shelburne is bankrupt. And many other of those communities were bankrupt and they had to be amalgamated,
Yes.
which is just putting poor
Towns
people.
are dissolving because of the lack of funds.
A lack of funding.
Yes.
We're here and we can't even provide from the tax base we have
Yes,
our regular services,
that's right.
police and education, you know, and all that sort of stuff.
Infrastructure, healthcare, it all falls into that. Yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very, very bad situation, and we should, in CBRM especially, awaken to what is going on here. We're
Yes.
becoming poorer. Other parts of the province are becoming wealthy. We know what
Yeah.
they are. We don't have to name them
Yes.
or it. So it's a
Yes.
very unfair, immoral, and it's very, very hard on, say, grandparents.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
you're a grandparent
I
and
am.
your child is out west. You
Yes.
have to go fly out there and buy
Can't
the
afford
gifts
that.
out there. You can't afford it.
No.
And especially now that they're threatening to raise taxes again because they don't
Yes.
have enough money to run their regular services.
CBRM counselors have informed us that it's the only way they have to collect more money is to raise property taxes, commercial taxes. But 87% higher property taxes than Halifax, 67% higher commercial taxes than Halifax. Doesn't sound like equalization to me.
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
No.
And when he says going after equalization will make us regress rather than progress, but that's just the opposite to what the reality is.
Mm-hmm.
The money is there to make us progress to the point where we're even in
Yes.
some way, you know, with
Equalization,
Halifax
that's what
and
the
the other,
word means.
all through Nova Scotia. It's
Yeah.
not only CBRM,
No,
although we're the largest
second largest
section that's
municipality.
getting poorer and poorer all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a very, very serious
Yes,
moral
that's right.
and civil and
That's
legal and political
Yes.
time bomb.
Yes,
And it's going to be the big issue in this coming election.
yes.
Equalization is going to be they don't want to talk about it. They will not talk to us
No.
about it.
I know.
Luckily, the two new MPs
Mm-hmm.
are talking about it.
That's great.
And they
That is
wanna
really
talk
good
with
to
us.
hear. That's some good
They're
news.
very, very open
Yes.
to us.
Yeah.
They understand.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, Mr. Baptiste, Honorable Baptiste,
Yes.
was very emotional when we talked about Eskasoni, about
Yeah.
the poverty.
75% child poverty in
Imagine.
Eskasoni.
Imagine, and he says we're doing great work with the Indigenous
working with
people.
the Aboriginals.
They're
No,
not.
we're not. No, we're
It's a
not.
definite lie
Yes.
about that.
And this is why we're very grateful to have the advantage of independent media, because we can tell the people's side of the story as well. There are always two sides to stories, Pam, Cape Breton. And to quote Paul Harvey, now you know the rest of the story. Thanks for watching.